page and the portions of our website. As some of you heard me just a little bit ago talk about some of these slides you're seeing here in the precursor leading into the webinar, talks about our Healthy Athletes program. 7 different stations will be available to athletes to go through on Saturday at the University Union. And then we'll also have 1 or 2 stations at softball with fitting customized mouth guards and things of that nature, special smiles. But again, athlete leadership programs as well throughout different areas at Healthy Athletes and athlete leadership at the leading into the dance on Saturday. We also have a car donation fundraising page with information there about if you know anybody who wants to donate a vehicle for whatever reason, but the proceeds there can come to Special Olympics and assist us there as well. So just want to make everybody aware of that. Again, the Healthy Athletes portion is very, very important for health and everything like that. It can be life-changing and really good care, really good doctors and clinicians there performing those stations and service. So really, if you have any chance whatsoever to get over there, even if you can't make all 7 stations, please make your way over there and take advantage of that program. Okay, so we will go ahead and get into the slide deck for this evening. And just 1 second here. Here we go. Everybody can see that okay? I'm getting a few thumbs up there.
Yeah, Steve, we're seeing it real small.
Are you?
Yeah. I'm not sure. Are you showing it as a projection?
Yeah, on mine, it's the full screen. Hold on. Let me back out of this and see if I can pull another one up here.
Nice to see everyone. How are you?
Hi, David. Okay. And folks, as Steve's trying to work that out, just a reminder, we could have as many as 110, 115 folks. So we do want to stay, everyone keep muted throughout, just so that we don't have a lot of background noise and all. If you have questions, you can certainly put them into the chat. And then perhaps at the end, if we have time, we can open it up and have folks ask questions by verbally, but we'll have to do it on a 1-by-1 basis for that. So, but we're thrilled we've got so many people joining us. Steve, that looks good. That's exactly what it should look like.
Okay, thanks for thanks for the confirmation there, Mike. So again, as Mike mentioned, we're excited to have so many people joining this evening. We're going to give some basic information about the summer games, let you look at some of the competition venue layouts, and address a few things that you as competitors and family members should know coming into summer games. One of the things we'll also mention is, although this is informational, to share some things with you, the main point of contact for each of you would be either your head of delegation, the person in charge of your teams, and your head coaches or other coaches for the given sport. So again, my name's Steve Bennett. I work at the Special Olympics State Office. I'm the Senior Director of Sports and Competition. And then Mike Sarnowski is also with us tonight. He'll be monitoring some of the chat functions if you type in questions. He's our VP of Sports. So again, very thrilled to have everyone join us tonight, and we'll go ahead and get started. So just a few things we're going to talk about and inform or information for you guys to gather tonight is some resources we'll share with you, such as our coaches resource page and others. Just some general information, as I mentioned, about summer games. We'll show you a few maps of the general Towson area and campus. Talk a little bit about the opening ceremony, the sports schedules, and again, the event guide on our coaches resource page. And then as we get towards the end, we'll look how we're doing on time for questions and things of that nature. But again, if you have any questions, you can feel free to use the chat function. Depending on your setup on your computer, it may be down at the bottom and it says chat, C-H-A-T, or maybe at the top of your screen, depending on how your layout is. Again, we want to make sure that everyone stays on mute throughout the webinar this evening. As we have over 111, 112 individuals tonight, just want to keep the distractions to a minimum. So we have unveiled this to the coaches and the heads of delegation, and you may have seen this if you've gone to our website and maybe looked at some other things. This is the logo and the theme, if you will, for the entire summer games. Experience inclusion. And that will most likely be seen through some of our fall events as well, and later summer events such as kayaking, maybe in the golf and the Fall Sports Fest. Just a very important message that Special Olympics wants to send to all the community and the world for that matter. So as I talked about, we're going to give a lot of information tonight, and there may be some things as we get close to summer games that may change a little bit or things like that. So when you see times on the schedules or general schedule information, always check with your coach and or your head of delegation, the person in charge of your program. They may have different timelines of when they need you to be there to warm up or get prepared for staging and other meetings they may have with you guys. So again, always look for your head coach and your head of delegation to get information and direction from them. So we talked about some of the resources. Like I said, the Experience Inclusion logo, you may have seen that already on our coaches resource page with other webinars where we've shared that. But again, here is the link that anyone can use to go look at information for the summer games and for other events for that matter. Just know that that coaches resource page, although it says coaches, it is open to anybody. There's no passcodes or anything like that needed. You just go to that link and you can scroll up and down for different information. It is designed primarily for the coaches, but there's a lot of information there that anybody could utilize and access. So just want to make everyone aware of that. And coaches know about it. You guys now know about it. And again, that's open year round. The link may change a little bit. This one takes you directly to the summer games portion. But if you back out of that a little bit, you can see the other events and things where we will have information forthcoming for those other events throughout the year. So again, always check with your coach and your area director or the person in charge of your entire program, as they'll have the most updated information moving forward into summer games. So here's kind of one of the maps I mentioned earlier. So this is just, you kind of see a lot of the Towson area, if you will. These are some of the main roads that come into campus. You have Charles Street, Towson Town Boulevard runs right up by some of our competition venues and parking areas. You have a couple other York Road here and Osler Drive getting onto campus, if you will. A couple points here we'll point out here with this yellow mark or a pin, if you will. That's the Towson Run Apartments. That's one location that individuals who are staying overnight on campus, one of the locations that people will be housed in overnight here. We have the University Union. That's what we talked about where the Healthy Athletes program will be available and right near bocce and swimming competition venues. And then we have the Glen Towers over in this area as well, just to get a feel of the layout of the Towson area. Here's what we have is a more close-up version, if you will, close-up map of the campus of where all the activities will be happening for summer games. So I'm not going to go in through everything here in the interest of time, but a few things. You can see the brown boxes, if you will, talks about where the different parking areas, depending on what competition or activity you're planning to attend. The yellow boxes talk about where our competition venues are. You can see track and field at the United Stadium, cheerleading competition on Friday in the Towson Center. Burdick Field is where bocce will be conducted. Talked about a little bit about swimming there at Burdick Hall. And again, softball will be off-site in Ellicott City. So this is one of the other areas I'll point out on this map. If you can see my cursor, that is the Towson University Arena. Used to be called the CQ Arena, and there's still markings on the building that call it CQ, but officially it's been termed the Towson University Arena. Just so you know, it's the same building, but if people say the TU Arena, that's what they're talking about, okay? Not the stadium or anything like that, but that's where opening ceremonies will take place. And again, anybody coming in for Friday for the opening ceremony or any of the competitions there, primarily you'll be parking in lots 4 and 5 here. That's kind of the parking areas for some of the things happening on this side of campus, if you will. And you can see there's a nice walkway that comes around and takes you right into the Towson University Arena for the opening ceremony and the dance and things like that on Saturday night for the dance and Friday night for the opening ceremony. Mike, anything else that I should hit there? We talked about the competition venues, the parking areas. Oh, let me point out one other thing here. The West Union, we talked about one of the housing facilities here. For those who are staying overnight, the West Village Commons area is where the dining area will be for the breakfast and dinners. Breakfast, the first breakfast is on Saturday, and you'll have dinner on Friday night there. Breakfast on Saturday, dinner on Saturday, and breakfast on Sunday. Okay.
Yeah, I think you covered pretty much everything that's really key here. If anybody is coming actually and also serving as a volunteer, you can see the different volunteer locations marked in orange. And I think anything else that would be on here, Steve, you're going to touch as you go through the session, like the YAP and so on down the Young Athletes Program and some other things. So, no, I think that's you got it covered well.
Sounds good. Okay, so you can see here, this is just a schedule. There are a few little tweaks that we're still working on a little bit in regards to the actual specifics of when the events for the different competitions will be happening. Again, check with your coaches. They'll be informed of all that information. But a few things here to highlight on Friday, excuse me, is as we talked about, the big thing there is we have 2 competitions starting on Friday. That's swimming. The competition starts at 12. That does not mean get there at 12. Okay, again, check with your coaches. You'll need to get there earlier to get checked in and get ready for the competition. So check with your coaches. We also have the cheerleading competition starting earlier in the morning on Friday. So those 2 competition venues will be happening on Friday. We'll have the block party leading into the opening ceremony where we'll have some merchandise, some food vendors, as well as long as the weather holds up for us and things like that. Some good activities there. We do have the Young Athletes celebration, as Mike indicated. We're excited to have them come back to summer games and be a part of that. They'll be back behind the block party by the softball fields over by the big arena where the opening ceremony will take place. Then we also have the opening ceremony, obviously, that evening. So again, work with your coaches and other people to make sure you're in place and ready to go for the opening ceremony. No tickets for the opening ceremony or anything like that. And we'll talk 1 or 2 other things about the opening ceremony later in the slide deck this evening.
Yeah, should also point out, Steve, that this schedule is on the coach already on the coach resource page, and it's part of the event guide, which you can also download from that location.
Yep, very good. And as I jokingly say, but it is serious that these schedules are tentative. They're pretty much locked in stone here, but again, anything can happen. So again, just make sure you're checking with coaches and other people in leadership from your programs. So as we go into Saturday, you can see we're in full swing with all the other competition venues up and running. Cheerleading only happens on Friday. And swimming continues throughout the weekend. And then we start with the other sports, bocce, track and field, or athletics, and softball. Again, we talked about the Healthy Athletes program at the University Union. They're open from 12 to 6 with all those free screenings and really important information there. Families are more than welcome and actually encouraged to go to that area to walk through with their athletes or their friends and get some information stuff there. There will be a little meet and greet with the families, so make sure you make your way over there. You can see the dining schedules, if you will. Again, as we talked about the dining hall and the location, that is, again, only available for people who are staying overnight and are registered for overnight housing on campus, the breakfast and dinners. All of the lunches will be delivered to the competition venues, and you can work with your coaches to make sure you get that. Leading into the dance and during the dance, we'll have the merchandise sale and obviously the victory dance or the athlete celebration on Saturday evening in that big arena, the same one at opening ceremony, the TU Arena. As mentioned here, you may have already heard, hopefully you have, but if not, the theme of the dance is Seize the Day. And if you're looking at this screen and you can read the words there, Seas is a play on the spelling of the word seas, so it's S-E-A-S. So it's kind of like an ocean-themed dance, if you will. So I know a lot of people like to get creative with the costumes and dressing up in support of that theme. Moving into Sunday, again, we've got our competitions going on and finishing all the award ceremonies and presentations and finalizing all the competitions. Really good stuff. And Townsend's been a great partner. We're looking forward to seeing everyone over the next couple of days there during summer games. So again, you can look at the shifts there for the breakfast. And again, the lunches will be at your competition venues. So for athletics or track and field, a few reminders here for everyone that'll be at that venue at the University United Stadium, the football stadium. That's where the track is. Just please be considerate. Anyone in the stands that have tents, we will have some directions and some information about where tents can be placed. And again, just be very courteous of where you place those, and also make sure they're tied down and secured in place in case we get a little wind. And if we have to remove them, we'll talk about that in a little bit as well. But you know, we're obviously monitoring the weather, and if we work with Towson University with all the weather information, satellites and apps and all that kind of thing, if we know wind's coming and we ask people to take down their tents, that's pretty much a mandate. Okay, if we ask anybody, families, coaches, anybody else to take down those tents, we need to do that as soon as possible due to the weather that's coming in. And we don't want those tents to become projectiles. We don't want to hurt anybody, and we also don't want to damage any property. So again, just be courteous and patient with us if that situation comes up.
And with that, I'm sorry, Steve, I was answering a question online, so I apologize if I'm repeating. We're looking at weather apps or weather services that are what we call hyper local, where they give us forecasts right about on Towson property or what's going to happen there. And we may know that something's coming and will be there in 15 minutes or whatever. So it may not look like you may think you don't have to take the tent down because it doesn't look like it's a problem. But trust us, we want everybody to have the tents up as long as you can. But if we're telling you to bring them down, it's because something is on its way, even if you can't tell it at the time.
Yeah, good point. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah.
So one of the things that, if you don't know, Towson University, for those who participate or going to the United Stadium for the track and field events, they have resurfaced the entire location of the track down at United Stadium. It's absolutely gorgeous. Shows off really well. We've talked about the coaches. We've talked to the coaches about this already, so they're prepared and they know the different colors of what you may have been used to in the past there. And we've also talked about to the coaches in regards to a few little changes in the layouts of things at the track. And I'll show you that in just a second. But again, just wanted to showcase the beautiful track that Towson has laid down. We obviously want to be very careful not to damage anything there in respect to not only the track surface, but also everything on Towson campus.
And just to point out, for those of you who are track athletes, Steve, can you go back just one? The relay zones or exchange zones for the 4x100 relay, you can see they're marked by that yellow lane that's there. So it's a little different. We're suggesting coaches get their teams out there to warm up, get there early and get out there to warm up each morning and get accustomed to or get familiar with those spaces. Thanks.
Yep. So we talked about some of the changes in the layouts, if you will. So the field staging where the athletes would go to report to get ready for the events, for the field events that are happening in the turf area of the track and the stadium, and the track staging, which is on the track itself, that's pretty much going to be in the same location. The big thing I think for everybody else to know is we have moved the awards area over to the far side of the stadium. It used to be right over here under the scoreboard or right by the scoreboard. With the new surface and some things that they've brought in, you can see the storage building location here. And on the that has impacted where we're able to put things. So we're going to be having the awards presentation area over on the far side of the track. So again, just want to make everyone aware of that. Medical used to be over on this side of the stadium, and we have made the decision to move medical over to this side of the stadium. So everyone knows where medical is in case we need to access that. So a few things about bocce. So on Saturday, that's when the singles competitions will be occurring. Both male and females will be, who have registered for the singles competition will be competing starting at 8 a.m., going till about 5 or so in the afternoon, 20-minute games and things like that. So it'll be great competition there at bocce at Burdick Fields. Any individuals or athletes who use the ramps to assist them to get the bocce balls going down on the court, they'll be combined with other people who don't necessarily use ramps. So we just want to make the best competition that we can. And then moving into Sunday, that's when the doubles competition for bocce will occur. Both the traditional doubles as well as our unified doubles teams will all be competing on Sunday, the 23rd. One of the things that everyone needs to know about bocce is there's a fence line there, and a fence that covers the field, if you will. You can't have anything inside that tent or that fence other than water. No Gatorade, no Powerade, no food. Nothing can come in that fence other than water. And we'll have water out on the fields and the courts for anybody who needs access to water. But nothing else other than water can come inside that fence. That includes any animals. No animals allowed on the inside the fence line as well. The parking for that is in the Union Garage. That's the closest one. It's absolutely right beside the Burdick Fields. So that's where spectators and everybody will be parking in the University Union Garage. Just make sure you obey the signs there. If there's something that says restricted or reserved for this or that, and it has specific dates or times or things like that, just make sure you're parking in a non-restricted area. Special Olympics Maryland will not take the responsibility for anybody's tickets or towing or anything like that. So just abide by the signs. And that goes for anywhere that you're parking on campus. So here's what a little bit of a layout of the bocce map, if you will. So you can see the awards area is down here's the fields, if you will. Here's the University Union. Here's the Union Garage. There's a little walkway, comes back this way, and that's where the awards will be. And that's where the lunch distribution tent is for the competitors and official members of the teams, where they'll pick up their lunches. We talked about the competition area. And again, this is where the volunteers will be coming. So they may be parking over here and walking over Union Garage and walking over to get registered to come help volunteer for the events there at swimming and bocce as well. This is kind of just a layout of the courts. We're looking at 20 courts again this year. We will have the bleachers down by the fence line on the side by the garage where you'll be parking for spectators and things like that. And there'll be a designated area to say no spectators beyond this point, basically some stanchions right in front of those bleachers that no one should be coming onto the fields or the courts other than the competitors, volunteers, and officials, okay? Few notes about cheerleading. We have the mats that the athletes and competitors warm up on and compete on are very specialized mats for the sport of gymnastics and for cheerleading as well. So with that, we have borrowed these mats from two different places. One from one of our head officials and one from Towson University, two different sets. So there's no walking on the competition mat for anybody other than when the competitors are competing and doing their cheers and their routines. They will have some designated map areas, if you will, as far as where to walk and how you get to one section of the venue to another. So just be mindful of that. And please don't walk or interact or disturb the judges specifically and especially during the competitions. They need to be concentrating so they can do their judging and make sure everything's fair for the competition. The other thing, as a cheerleading event, we don't want any distractions for the athletes and competitors out on the field of play. So make sure all of your cell phones are turned off or put in the vibrate mode so that there's no distractions during the routines. It can be very distracting to not only the judges, but also to the competitors and coaches. And we just don't want to have that situation arise. So we appreciate that. Again, we talked about keeping the aisleways and stairwells clear, and just look for the seating areas and stay in those designated locations as far as spectators and others. Now, we do ask that during the routines as well, not only that you turn off your cell phones or put them on vibrate, but also to remain seated during the competitions when people are on the mat during the routines. If there's movement, that can be distraction. And again, we just don't want any outside influences to impact the competition for the athletes and competitors, okay? We encourage you to show your team spirit. After a routine is done, be loud, be proud, be cheering. There are one or two different routines where there is some interaction with the fans, and they'll be notified. You'll recognize that if a team's out there saying, when we say blue, you say white. Blue, then the stands can say white. Otherwise, you want to kind of let them do their routines and kind of remain quiet until the end of the competition is concluded. The parking is at the Towson Center. Again, first come, first serve basis. And then any overflow parking would be over by the United Stadium, where I said there's the lots 4 and 5. And that's where that little walkway coming around the stadium takes you right into the Towson Center area. So again, very good partnership with Towson with the mats and other things. So again, here's kind of the layout, if you will, of when you get into Towson Center. You'll be walking in through this area. And again, restrooms on this side, the competition's down there in the middle on the floor, spectator area and things like that. And again, you'll see that when you walk in to the venue with signage, and it'll be pretty obvious where to go as far as getting your way around the venue. A few notes about swimming. We showed you on one of the maps there, the Towson Town Boulevard Garage is the most or the closest parking for those going to Burdick Hall for the swimming portion of the competitions for summer games. We do have a few areas within the building where spectators can go and delegation members and competitors can go. We'll have some chairs for the competitors. You can bring in your own chairs, if you will, camping chairs, that type of thing. But you really need to make sure that the feet on the legs or the little end of the legs on the chairs have really good rubberized pieces there, because it is on one of their competitive basketball gym floors, if you will. And there's a tarp that's put down because we'll also be eating lunches in there and things like that. And we just can't rip up those tarps. It's very expensive to replace those. And we also don't want to damage the floor. So you can bring your own chairs, but just know that we may look at them if there's any question about whether or not it will be allowable based on the rubberized portions that would touch the floor. You can bring coolers and food into the gym area. That's one of the reasons why we have everything tarped. One of the things, there is very limited seating in the bleachers, and we know that that can be a frustration point. What we do ask, and we've talked to coaches and others about this over the years, there's no saving of the stands, no saving seats. Go in, watch your competition, who you came to cheer on or support, and then vacate the area so that others can come in and support their competitors as well. One of the things we've seen is, hey, you know, if I'm a competitor, my family's there to see me. Hey, Steve just went to staging. We need to get out there in the bleachers now. He's going to be out there in 3 minutes. It usually takes about 15 minutes to 20 minutes, give or take, once the athletes go to staging to actually make their way to the pool deck to start their races. So just be aware of that. And again, you can talk with your coaches to find out, hey, what's the time frame? What are we looking at here? Just to get some more information. Again, no standing around. We will have security in place to assist. Hopefully, we don't need to use security. But again, just be courteous to each other. We're all there to enjoy the experience and to cheer on the competitors. We want everyone to have a great experience and be a part of that. A couple other reminders here. Like we talked about in the beginning, you saw on the schedule, on Friday, swimming starts at noon or 12 o'clock p.m., right around lunchtime. Again, like I said, that doesn't mean get there at noon. Talk with your coaches. They may need you there by 11:15. Make sure they have their teams ready, can get stretched, get warmed up, and be ready for their competition and get staging started around 11:30. So again, work with your coaches. Ask them when you need to be there if they haven't already told you that. For Friday, lunch is a reminder for swimming. Lunches for individuals are on their own. There will be no lunches provided for the swimming competition on Friday. There will be for Saturday and Sunday, but lunches, everyone's on their own on Friday. Everyone, all the coaches know about that. All the program and the county leaders know about that. So again, just a reminder there. For families and everything else we talked about, you could bring coolers and things like that because there is no concessions available during the event. There may be some limited vending options, but it is limited. So again, just be prepared to make do on your own for the needs that you may have in regards to meals. Here's kind of just a general layout. I know this may be confusing if you haven't been there before, but just kind of shows you a little bit of layout of the pool area. This is the spectator limited bleachers area. We have the awards, delegation areas, and things like that. It's the same layout it has been the last couple of years if you've been there before. This is kind of how we tentatively have put out for the county programs where there'll be seating so that when you go in there, it's pretty obvious where your team will be if you're looking for the rest of your team. Moving on to softball. All of the softball competition, as was done last year as well, is everything will be conducted in Ellicott City in Howard County at Kiwanis Wallace Park. That includes the individual skills competitions, as well as all the team competitions, the unified and traditional teams, and the home run derby. So just want to make sure that everyone who is coming to see softball knows that it's not at Towson University. It is at Ellicott City at Kiwanis Wallace Park. Very good partners. They've hosted some required qualifiers and some other events for us throughout the years, and really excited to continue that partnership as well. We talked about the competitions there. The awards will also be presented at that location after either the individual skills competition divisions have concluded, as well as when the teams know their results based on their brackets. So just want to make sure everyone's there. There will be concessions at Kiwanis Wallace Park. So I want to make sure that anybody going there knows that. We encourage you to partake with the concessions there at Kiwanis Wallace Park. And again, their parking there is free, first come, first serve. I'm not sure that we've ever had a challenge or a problem with overflow parking there. So it should be plenty. Again, just abide by any parking signs there. And again, we're really excited to continue that relationship with them as well as with Towson University.
And Steve, if I can just interject for a moment here, because we've gotten a couple questions related to food for availability for spectators. So yes, softball has a concession stand that the park runs. That's right there. Unfortunately, there are no other concessions available on Saturday and Sunday for folks who are coming to Towson University. The delegation members, of course, will get lunch, and folks are more than welcome to pack a cooler or a bag and bring with you. There's also lots of options in the Towson area that you can take advantage of. But unfortunately, there are no concessions available for spectators on Towson. I will say we've tried to do that in the past. It's been a few years, but we've tried to do it in the past. And quite honestly, the folks that we've gotten to agree to do it have said that they just don't make enough sales to make it worthwhile. And they wind up wasting a lot of food or having a lot of stuff left over. And so we have not been able to get anybody else to do that in recent years. So, sorry.
The one exception I'll say to that, and Mike's absolutely right from a concessions perspective from Towson, but leading into the opening ceremony at the block party on Friday night, we do have the availability. We made arrangements for Pizza Bowlies and Kona Ice to have product there leading into the opening ceremony, as well as during the dance on Saturday night. So those activities, there will be pizza and Kona Ice available for purchase. They have indicated both would be ready to accept either credit card or cash.
Right. Yes. Thank you for the clarification on that, Steve.
Yep, absolutely. So here's the layout we talked about. Kiwanis Wallace Park, again, phenomenal facility. They've done great work with us over the years. You can see all the different fields and where the locations of the competitions will be happening. Again, it's a really cool venue, very good layout. A lot of activity will be happening there on Saturday and Sunday. And you can see the address here if you're not familiar with it. And you can just literally Google Kiwanis Wallace Park, and it comes right up, and you can go to their website to get their address as well. So for housing, not everyone's staying overnight on campus, and that is absolutely fine. Not all of our staff is staying overnight on campus. Not all of our volunteers and management are staying overnight on campus. But for those who are, again, your coaches and your head of delegation have made arrangements for those who will be staying overnight on campus. There are different rooms and different ways the rooms are situated. So your coaches have been working with us to make sure those who need housing will have that. Here's just a list of things that are be available in the room for each individual. So you have your towel, your washcloth, a blanket for the bed, a fitted sheet, a regular blanket or a sheet, if you will, a pillow, pillowcase. But you need to bring all of your bathroom supplies, soap, deodorant, toothpaste, toothbrush, things like that. Those will not be provided. So make sure you're prepared, again, for those who are staying overnight. Your leader of your team will pick up the keys on Thursday and be ready to give those to you guys when they meet up with you or meet with the coaches and things like that. So one of the things is the keys, the swipe card that you'll get that allows you into the dorm or the housing facility. That's your meal card. So you need to make sure you have that when you're going to the breakfast and dinners. There's also a key, an actual key, traditional key, if you will, that will allow you to get into the door of your room. You need to talk to your coaches and how do they want to get those keys returned. We'll need to turn those in on Sunday, but talk with your lead person or your coach or whoever to make sure that you get the keys returned how they want them so that there's no charge. If we lose a key, it could be up to or a little more than $75 per lost key or per non-returned key. So nobody wants to pay that $75 or $100. So again, just make sure you work with your coaches and get those keys all returned. The swipe card that you use for your meals and things like that, you can keep that. But the actual key, you've got to return. So we were talking a little bit about the meals and things like that, but here's a little bit more information in regards to that. So as we talked about, cheerleading is the only venue or only competitors that will be given lunch on Friday. And again, that's because their competition starts much earlier in the day. And that's the only day that they're competing. So cheerleading is the only venue that will have lunch on Friday. All other competition and competitors will get their lunches at the venues on Saturday and Sunday. As we talked about, only those who are staying overnight who have those swipe cards will have access to the breakfast and dinners, starting dinner on Friday, dinner Saturday, and then breakfast Saturday, breakfast Sunday. Again, we talked about the swipe card. It's really key. I shouldn't say key. That's a really important factor to have when you go to the dining areas to make sure you have that. If you don't have that, you won't have access to get into the dining area. So again, just make sure you have that with you. You might not have paid attention real closely because coaches will be working with everyone who goes to those meals, the breakfast and dinners, but there is a shift schedule there by sport because there's limited seating in the area where we'll have breakfast and dinner. And just go in with your coach, get your food, eat, clean up after yourselves, and then leave so others can come in so that we don't have a backup and have anybody maybe being late for competition. We don't anything like that happening. So again, just be courteous, get in, eat, get out. So we mentioned this a little bit, so I'm not going to spend any time on here. Just again, know that you're allowed to bring your own product and coolers and stuff to the campus, whether it's bocce, swimming, track and field, those type of things. And again, the two options where there is the chance to order and purchase meals there from Pizza Bullies and Kona Ice. Okay. So here's a transportation. I should have mentioned this, and my apologies. On the map that we showed on the campus, and we may go back to that later. But there are little yellow squares. If you look closely, it looks like a little front of a bus.
Actually, Steve, why don't you fly back to that real quick,
Okay.
if you can? That I think that'll make more sense for people if they can see what you're talking about there. I made the map and I'm having trouble remembering what
Yeah,
you're
I got
talking about.
sorry
Like
about this,
it's
ladies
two
and
more
gentlemen.
back, I think.
Yeah.
There we
So,
are.
so as you can see, what we'll have starting on Friday, because that's when activities begin on campus for summer games, we will have shuttle buses going throughout campus, starting on Friday through Saturday and Sunday as well. And these are the little bus shuttle stops, if you will. You know, they're servicing all the housing facilities, they're servicing all the competition venues, they're servicing the dining area, they're serving the major parking lots, things like that. So, again, just know that the shuttle buses will be moving throughout campus throughout summer games. And it's open to anyone. So, spectators, families, and whatever, anybody can access those buses. Obviously, what we do want everyone to keep in mind is the priority of boarding those buses is for the competitors and coaches and things like that, so they can get their competition. And if there's room, um, and there will be throughout the day, but particularly in the morning and at the end of the day, that's when the buses may get a little crowded with all the delegation members. And spectators just wait until, if there's room, absolutely get on board. If there's not, you can wait for the next shuttle. They typically run about every 15 minutes, give or take, at each of those stops. So we have many buses, 6 to 10 going on at a time, and they'll be hitting all of those points throughout campus. They are wheelchair accessible as well. They have lifts on them. And if you're brave enough, they do allow you to stand on the buses as they go around campus. But we have the shuttles that are going to take the teams and the teams only from Towson to Ellicott City. You can't stand on those buses. But again, those buses going to softball are from a different charter company. And again, that is only for the teams. No families, spectators, or anybody else will be allowed on those buses. Okay. And again, they're hitting all the points. We talked about these. Again, just be courteous in regards to who's getting on board. Obviously, you want everybody to get there, but priority must be given and should be given to the competitors on a first come, first served basis, and then others can fill in as available. The opening ceremony be similar to what we did last year and in years past, but the delegation members or all of the teams that'll be coming in, the competitors, there will be designated seating for them inside the TU Arena, or the previously known CQ Arena. There'll be designated seating areas for all of the competitors and official members of the teams, if you will. There'll be other areas, obviously, for spectators and supporters and people coming to just check it out. We're expecting the opening ceremony to go about 60 to 75 minutes. We're still finalizing some activities and some fun activities and interaction and stuff like that during the opening ceremony with the law enforcement torch run and others. So very, very cool. And if you can get there, by all means, welcome. Again, no tickets are needed for that. One of the things we do want to make you aware of is that you are allowed to bring small bags inside. However, we really request that you don't. It's not a clear bag policy, as has happened in the past, but nothing larger than a typical small backpack will be allowed in. And even if we bring one of those, they will ask you to open that up, and they will look through it and search the bags. So make sure, we're basically saying, don't bring it unless it's absolutely necessary. Okay. The other thing is you will go through probably a metal detector. And if you have any knives on you or pepper spray, things like that, they will not permit those to be allowed inside the arena. So again, leave those things in your car. Make sure pockets are clear of stuff like that. But again, just want to make everyone aware. Okay. Anything else,
And
Mike, on the opening?
the only thing, and actually, I'm surprised we didn't put this in here. Just so everybody's aware, the opening ceremony is for everyone. everyone in the delegation, everyone, we have plenty of spectator space and such. It's not just for those people who are staying on campus. We'd love to have everyone coming there. Certainly we realize, that some folks who are further away and not staying overnight, it's a little bit more challenging, but strong, really encourage everybody to come and join us and celebrate and such. If you haven't already told your head of delegation that you were planning to attend opening ceremonies, please make sure that you do soon. They need to get some information into us so we can assign the delegation seating. That has to be into us by Monday morning. So, but yeah, if you're, we'd love to have as many people there as possible. So look forward to see everybody there.
Yeah, one of the things, as Mike's saying, the more people there, the merrier. It does create a great atmosphere. And especially when you have your 4 people who are coming in representing your team or your county program, when they walk in with your banner and you guys want to be loud and proud and cheer them on. So again, it's just a really cool atmosphere, and everybody can get fired up for that. At the end of the opening ceremony, we talked about the shuttle buses and things like that. So again, the priority will be given to those who are exiting and staying overnight on campus. And there will be a bunch of shuttle buses coming up into that parking lot and staging to get everybody back to their housing facilities after the opening ceremony. We've talked to the coaches and others. You need to stay in your seats until your team is called, and listen to your coaches and others to say, okay, hey, they just called us. Now we start making our way out to the shuttle buses. We're going to do a couple waves of those buses, but there'll be about 500 people per wave with, 6 to 8 buses taking everybody back. When they return, then the next wave will go. We also ask that any spectators and other supporters who aren't part of the teams exit up on the main level and out those doors, if you will, so that you're not exiting into the upper level, I should say. So you're not exiting out of the same area as where all the athletes and coaches and competitors are exiting, so that there doesn't get to be a big cluster of people and confusion and things like that. So we can do that in an organized manner. So just want to make sure that everyone knows that. Mike, anything else you'd like to add there?
Yeah, well, thank you for mentioning about that with that first bullet there. But it actually is, it's definitely all the spectators and such we want to go out that way, but also any competitors or other folks who are not staying on campus. Yeah. We'd really like you to go out that doorway. It makes a huge difference in our ability to get people out and onto the buses and back to their dorms who are staying on campus. So please do. It takes you right outside, right in front of the TU or the Towson University arena, and you can get right to your to the ways to get over to your cars and so on down the line from there.
Yeah, the other thing I'll say is, as we talked about the parking there, there's no parking allowed in that parking lot by TU Arena. So I want you to be aware of that. You can park up by the university football stadium where track and field will take place, and then take that short walk over to the arena for the opening ceremony. But I don't want anybody to drive all the way up there and expect to park, because that'll all be blocked off, only access for the buses and with the activities we have going on outside in that parking lot. So we talked about the activity, obviously opening ceremony on Friday night, and then the activity, the dance, the Seize the Day, again, on Saturday evening. A lot of fun activities and good interaction and things like that. So I'm just looking forward to seeing the creativity with the theme there of Seize the Day on Saturday night during the dance. Obviously, we talked about weather and the tents and the safety precautions there. We talked about how we monitor the weather through our devices, as well as with Towson University and their risk management and safety management groups and personnel. We've talked with coaches as well, but it's really important. We could have a cold front come in. Don't think that's too likely, but it could be that we have rain come in. It could be that we have high winds come in. It could be very hot. So again, work with each other, remind each other to keep hydrated, keep drinking water or other good product for healthy reasons. We don't want anybody to get dehydrated. And again, if you're in there with cheerleading or swimming, just because it's indoors, you could still get hot. And again, we just want to make sure everyone's mindful of that. If we do have, this may be on another slide, but I'll go ahead and mention it here. If we do have some weather that comes in, as we did last year, where we have to evacuate, we'll talk about where those locations are and the cooperation we need from everyone during that situation. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but we know it's possible. Codes of conduct. We've talked about the coaches resource page. There are codes of conduct if people aren't aware for athletes, for unified teammates, for coaches, for volunteers, spectators, family members, pretty much anybody who could or would attend a Special Olympics event. There is a code of conduct. One of the things we just like to reiterate is Towson University is a smoke-free campus, and Kiwanis Wallace Park similarly. So again, no smoking, and that includes vaping, things like that. No smoking marijuana, that kind of thing, or any other, drugs, illegal drugs, or anything like that. Also, no consumption of alcohol. And not just the consumption of alcohol, but also being under the influence of alcohol. So again, we've had one or two situations. Most of it has just been because individuals were not aware of the policy. So we just want to make sure everyone's clear on that. If we see it or whatever, we'll either ask you to be removed or remove you from the facility or things of that nature. We just don't want to have that unfortunate interaction, and we just want to make sure everyone's aware of that. So if you have any questions or you want to see, this is just 2 line items of the codes of conduct, which for each group is probably 2 pages worth of basic stuff. The codes of conduct, if you just think about it, it's basically respect each other. That's the main thing that most of the codes of conduct come down to. Just be respectful of other coaches, other competitors, management team members, volunteers, officials, all of that kind of stuff. But again, just keep respect in your forefront of your mind, and you should be fine there. We talked about the healthy athletes at the University Union, again, 12 to 6 on Saturday. Again, we have over 100 individuals who have given up their time from their medical fields, nurses, doctors, dentists, all the different specialists coming. They take great pride in providing you, the athletes, with these free services and free follow-ups. Again, it's very important to get there. We have had individuals who have had life-changing experiences from not being able to hear since birth, and then it was detected and they found the problem, and all of a sudden, after 40 years later in their life, they're able to hear for the first time. So again, really get over there, take advantage of that opportunity. Again, we talked about the Yappers, or the Young Athletes program. Those are the little kids that'll be coming up and who have been working with their coaches and family members and others from the age of basically almost newborns, if you will, but 2 to 6 is pretty much the target rate there. But they'll be up there playing on the field hockey field leading into the opening ceremony. If you have a chance, I'll go up there and check them out and encourage them, and you can interact with them and just see what's going on there. It's a great program. Another slide there about the healthy athletes. Again, can't stress that enough. We know competition is priority, but there will be some downtime here and there, and they've tried to arrange a schedule to give as many people the opportunity to get over there as possible on Saturday from 12 to 6. Weather, again, we talked about that a little bit. One of the things I will say is if we have an evacuation like we did last year, we really need the cooperation of everyone. There were a few incidents last year, situations where individuals did not want to abide by the policy of Towson and come inside and stay. It was basically a mandate or a stay in shelter mandate. We will give everyone directions on where to go. But I really, really, really need everyone to abide by that. Our priority is to make sure that everyone's safe. As Mike mentioned, you may look outside and say, well, it's not raining, or I don't see any dark clouds. This is a situation that happened last year. It looked fine to go outside and everybody was getting anxious. And we literally had a lightning strike less than 1 mile away. That we didn't see it, we didn't hear it, but it was indicated, and it in fact did happen. So again, it's not worth risking your life if we're going inside to stay in shelter, to go out to your car to get a book or something like that. We just really want everyone to be courteous and respect and be safe. So just want to mention that.
Hey, Steve, with that, because we've gotten a couple questions sent to me directly in the chat regarding weather and such, particularly if it gets to a certain temperature, are we going to close down? And it's not a simple answer like that. It really depends on a number of different things and such. Obviously, we have the best interests of everybody at heart. That said, with our athletes and our competitors, there's a wide range of how well people can handle different temperatures and different weather situations. And so, I mean, obviously talk with your coaches, but make the best decision for your own health. If you are having difficulty in hot weather or more prone to that, it may be that you need to decide on your own that you would not attend. I mean, we'll have or have to leave early. Again, we'll have plenty of water and other ice. We're working out some shade and some other things with that related to that. And I'm not saying that we wouldn't shut down weather because of the weather, heat and such. What I'm saying is not as simple as if it hits 95 degrees, we're closed. There's so many other things that come into play for that. We just can't give you a simple answer like that. But we will be watching that, and we have excellent medical personnel. It'd be not in addition to the folks that are doing Healthy Athletes, we have an exceptional medical team who are around at the various venues and will be part of that decision making as we look at it. We're watching. I mentioned the weather app that we use. We watch that. Right now, we're looking at it daily when it comes to around summer games itself. We'll be looking at that hourly. We'll keep you informed. But regardless of what we do as far as for the event as a whole or for a sport as a whole, whether we're talking bocce or track or softball, they're the ones that'll be outdoors. You need to make the decision that's right for you. Or if you're a family member here or a parent, you need to make the decision that's right for your son, daughter, or family member with that. And just communicate that or talk through that with your head coach or your head of delegation there. So sorry, I can't give you a more definitive answer of if the mercury gets to here, we're closed. It's just not that simple. So
great. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate that. One of the other things we talked about, make sure you're drinking fluids and staying hydrated. Just so everyone knows, Special Mix Maryland will not have the option to hand out sunscreen for various reasons. Not knowing everyone's allergies and things like that to certain ointments or certain sunscreens or products. So make sure, again, you're prepared for all weather, like we talked about earlier. If it's a light rain, pretty much competition as a go. So be prepared for some rain, be prepared for the heat, be prepared for the sun, things like that. So again, I always pack a little extra just so in case anything happens, I'm prepared and ready for the whatever weather and Mother Nature may bring to us. This is just an information purposes. We will direct and guide people if we have the evacuations like we had last year. This is just a basic slide here to show you where those locations are. So if track and field gets, if we have an evacuation come in place, athletics goes right across the street to where the opening ceremony and the dance is. That's the building they'll shelter in. Bocce goes right to the next building, right beside the Union Garage, into the University Union itself. Cheerleading obviously would stay inside the Townsend Center where their competition is. Swimming would be moved away from the pool deck area and into those delegation and seating areas and the gyms as we talked about. Softball at Kiwanis Wallace Park in Ellicott City, the individuals will go to the buses, and then certain spectators and others can go to their vehicles, and then the block party back into the TU arena as well.
Mm-hmm. But that said, we're very optimistic that we're going to have an exceptional. We don't want to end on a downer with that. That's just, we need to be cautious. We need to be prepared. But we're very optimistic. We're going to have a great great summer games. The weather, even if it's a little warm, will cooperate, and we paid our dues last year, and I think we should get a year off, and hopefully the weather gods agree with that.
So. Yep. Fingers crossed on that. And again, everybody appreciate your patience if a situation arises. But again, we're very hopeful and optimistic that nothing will impact the competitions from that perspective. As we started the slides and we started the presentation, I want to again have this as a reminder that all the information you received tonight is really good. We want everyone to be as informed as possible, but make sure you listen and ask your head coaches or your leaders of your teams and your delegations or your programs. They're the ones that will give you specific information on what they need from you, when they need you to be there, and stuff like that. So again, and we may, after today, we may have something change and we have to talk to the coaches for a certain sport, say this is an update from what we've shared already. So just make sure you listen and ask and be in communication with those individuals. Mike?
Yeah, actually, one other point with that too. So over the next, probably by Monday, we'll have schedules and such posted on the coach resource page. We think we want to be transparent. We want to have that information out there. Just because it says that your 100-meter dash is going off at 11 o'clock, if you're a track athlete, doesn't mean that that you arrive before then. Talk to your coach. Your coach, your head coach, or your head of delegation is the person in charge, and he or she will tell you when you need to be there and where you and it is quite possible, if you don't follow what they say, they may scratch you, which means take you off the competition. See that happen because people weren't paying attention to what their coaches tell you. So there's that risk by posting the schedules and the competitions and such, but we think it's worth it as long as everybody pays attention to your head coach and your head of delegation with that. Certainly spectators can arrive when they want to see the particular competition and all, but really it's if you don't know who your head coach is or you don't know who your head of delegation is, talk to the person who's running your program tonight or tomorrow and find out who that is so that you know who will be giving you that information. Okay.
Very good. Again, we'll end on a slide here that says experience inclusion. Again, that's the theme of Special Olympics Maryland for the Summer Games, and you'll see that throughout the year as well. So, Mike, okay. I didn't know if there were any other questions that have come in that we want to share.
Yeah, sure. I've been answering them as we go through, and in a moment we can. There's only one question there from Joyce Claxton. I'll answer in just a second. But if anybody else has a question you'd like to ask, you can raise your hand. If you don't know how to do that within Zoom, you can. There's on your Zoom bar where your controls are. There should be a thing that says reactions. It has like a smiley face. I can't show it to you, unfortunately. It has like a smiley face and it says reactions. If you click on that, raise your hand is in there. Don't unmute when you raise your hand. Wait till we call on you to do so. So Joyce Plaxton, you're asking, can we forward this webinar to families who did not attend the sign up? So they all have, I will forward it. I'm actually not going to forward the webinar. I will forward the link to the coach's resource page for Summer Games where the recording will be and the slides will be. It'll take a few hours before they're on there because it just takes, with Zoom, it takes that time to process that. But everybody for whom we have an email address received the link to the coach resource page. I'm almost certain that was in the original email that I sent out. If for some reason, because we referenced the event guide being there as well, which is on that page. So I'm not planning to send it out to the 1,500. That many, yes, 1,500 people from delegations. Again, it fills my inbox with out of office or bad emails and so on down the line. But everyone who would receive it if we sent it a second time already has the information to the link. But those of you who signed up and who are with us tonight or who registered, it's a much smaller group. It's about 100, maybe it might be up to 125 now. Yes, I will send that out to you as a courtesy because that We have a good email address for you because you registered for the session. So, yep. And you're certainly coaches, family members, anybody else here, you can share that link with the world. It's open to the public. Anybody can go to that site, even as Steve mentioned originally, or back at the very beginning. It's the coach resource page because the main focus is information for coaches, but there's lots of information there for anybody else. And you're more than welcome to go there. And you can download a copy of the event guide. We have it broken out so you can download the bocce section of the event guide if you wanted to. You can also link it. It's very basic in terms of the design, so you can go get it on your phone real easily and go through it quickly that way. We deliberately designed it to not have lots of fancy graphics and so on, which can slow down loading on a phone. But it's all there for you, and we'll also use that as a location for some announcements. Of course, we'll go through your area director and your heads of delegations and stuff too. But if anybody has, so I don't see anything other than thank yous to us, but thank you to all of you for joining us tonight. We're thrilled to give you this information. We're really looking forward to what is it? I guess 8 days from tonight, seeing a lot of you at opening ceremony or earlier that day. But if anybody does have any question, again, just raise your hand and we'll call on you there. And again, the raising your hand is under reactions. If you click on that, it should, at least that's what it looks like on my screen. It'll pop up and you can click raise your hand. But if you don't have questions, that's okay too. We just don't want to have everybody open up their microphones and try to talk at once.
I think as we give one more minute here to see if any questions come through, as Mike said, we thank you for joining us tonight. And the competitors who joined us tonight, we thank you for your dedication and your training and getting ready for all the competition at the state championships for your given sport. Appreciate the continued dedication, the continued involvement, the continued leadership and sportsmanship that you have shown and will continue to show. Family members and others who have joined us, we thank you for your dedication to the athletes and competitors you support, whether you're a coach, a family member, help with fundraising, or in part getting the athletes to and from practices and events and everything else. Without you, Special Olympics doesn't exist. So we appreciate everyone's involvement. We look forward to a great summer games. Again, sportsmanship and respect are key words to walk away. We want to make sure that everyone has a great experience, and that takes all of us to make sure that happens.
So I do see Jeff Connolly. I'm not sure if that's Jeff or Aaron, because I know you're signed in twice. So whichever Jeff Connolly has your hand up, go ahead and unmute.
Aaron.
Hey, Aaron.
Hey, I have a question. Where does the staff metal room keys go to? Does it go to the HOD person or the front desk?
Okay, Steve, you want to take that, or I can? It's your call.
Yeah, I think they need to be turned into the front desk. But what we ask you guys to do as athletes and members of your team is ask your head coach how they want to do it. I think most coaches will want to collect all the keys from the athletes and unified teammates, so they make sure they have everything they need, and then they'll turn them into the front desk. But again, just check with your coach, and they'll let you know how they want to handle that. Okay, Aaron?
Okay, and the meal keys we keep?
Yeah, they kind of look like a credit card thing that you can put in your wallet or your purse and stuff like that.
Yeah, I got those many years.
Yep. Those have
I
our logo or something on it, and you can keep those as a souvenir.
Okay.
Great.
Very good. Thank you for those good questions.
Okay, and thank you for all the nice thank yous and such in the online chat. So, any other questions? David Godoy, it looked like you wanted to ask a question a moment ago. Is that the case, or looks like David may have signed off? So, I guess he got it answered. So, Okay.
Awesome.
I think that's it. Certainly, again, if you have any questions, your head of delegation, your area director, your head coaches, we've had meetings. This is probably, Steve, what is this, the 8th or 9th webinar we've had in the last couple of weeks, going over all this information, sharing it, and for your head coaches, talking about the specifics of your sport there and so on. So they have a lot of that information, and they can help navigate or help steer you to get the right info if you have any further questions. And again, they're the ones who will tell you where you need to be and at what time, because they're the ones who are responsible for making sure you get where you need to be. But they can only do it if you cooperate and you do what they ask you to do. So thanks much. And I think I'm going to go ahead and turn off the recording, and we'll